Yo, welcome back to another episode of On the Spot Sports. I'm Jack, and today's episode we're joined by a very special guest, current professional hockey goaltender, Brandon Halverson. Brandon spent the last season with the Syracuse Crunch in the American Hockey League, as well as getting his first NHL start with the Tampa Bay Lightning in the National Hockey League. And he's had quite the journey since being drafted by the New York Rangers in 2014 in the second round, 59th overall. In 2014, he's been through the ECHL, the AHL, and finally got his first start in the NHL, as well as a stop in Germany in the Dell 2. And he's also faced a ton of obstacles throughout the course of his career with injuries as well. So you've went through everything to get to where you are today. So I'm really excited to share your story and share how you got to where you are today. So welcome to the show, Brand Halverson.
Awesome. Thanks, man. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Yeah, of course.
Great introduction.
Yeah, I got to give the best for my guests. So glad you
Yeah.
enjoyed it. But how are things going with you? I know it's been quite the journey over the last couple of years. So how's everything been?
Been good, man. Like you said, it's been a long journey and nice to finally be in a spot where um, you're in a really good place with a really good organization. So just taking it one day at a time and just happy to be back in Tampa for another chance at playing the game I love.
Yeah, exactly. And you're going to training camp with Tampa as well this year. So how excited are you to get things going? I know you're there already. So how are things there?
Very, very good. Very excited. Things are great. Just got in a couple days ago. Had a couple skates and camp starts the 17th. So it's just slowly getting ready for that. And we'll get things going pretty quick.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm sure it's super exciting and great to be back there. And I just want to I just want to go back throughout your career so far to get to where you are today. So you grew up in Traverse City, Michigan. So like what was it like growing up in Traverse City? Because that's a beautiful spot in Michigan. So like what was the organizations like over there growing up throughout youth hockey over there?
Yeah, it was good. I grew up playing double A hockey. Was the only goalie my entire career before I moved away from home. So that was probably a big thing for my development at a young age. Is actually, I had the same coach from when I was really pretty much starting out travel hockey all the way up. So there was another goalie in my age group, and even towards the end, like the last year I was there, there was two younger goalies that tried out. Thinking, hoping that at least one of them would make the team, but my coach still was didn't want to play the other guy, so he ended up cutting both of them, and which helped me out a lot because obviously in Double A, if you're going to bring two goalies on, parents expect both goalies to play. So that was nice for me. Was pretty lucky for that to happen, and yeah, I played till I was 13 at home, and then my 14-year-old year, my freshman year of high school, moved away. Started playing. Was going to be playing for another travel team in Grand Rapids, and ended up merging and becoming the Victory Honda. So we ended up playing for Victory Honda that year. Ended up playing AAA, and we were pretty much a team made up of Double A players. Only a couple of AAA players, so we were not respected at all growing up and playing against Detroit Bell Tire with like Larkin and Kyle Connor and Perlini, a lot of big name guys on that team. I definitely got my fair shots throughout my AAA years, and so yeah, I played a year there, a year at Little Caesars, lived in Detroit. Um, Played for another team, played for the Oakland Grizzlies my U18 year. So, and then went to juniors after that. So yeah, three different high schools, and uh, three different three different high schools, four different teams. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's how that went.
Yeah, but especially if you're the only goalie, you're facing all the shots, all the reps at practice, so your development. So like
Yeah,
that was huge for your probably for your development and just And then going into that AAA year when you're made up of AA players, you're getting grade A chances all the time. So how was that experience of just taking that next step and really like taking those reps and like really starting that development process?
Yeah, I mean, it was great. I mean, I had, you know, growing up around those years, I had, a goalie coach who actually lived with me when he played juniors out of Traverse City. He's my billet brother, and then he ended up being a goalie coach. So he helped me out quite a bit. Growing up there, his name's Jeremy. Jeremy Kalnicki. He's like a big brother to me still, but having him there helping me was huge. And yeah, I just think being exposed to 40 shots a night and team not being not terrific, but we battled. I mean, we there's a lot of games we played, we upset, I think we upset Honda or Little Caesars or something in states, and it was a pretty big deal for us. And we're just a bunch of workhorses, and so yeah, it was a great experience. It was great to each team I was on. I felt like we were a struggling team, and I was always getting, it was kind of on me to whether we were going to win those games or not,
Yeah.
which was great. Good for learning about pressure, how to handle it, and yeah, I wouldn't change anything about the those years. And even going into my last year of U18, it was like I kind of had the choice of a bunch of different AAA teams, and I kind of ended up going with the one that has struggled the most. Like the Grizzlies were never like a high end AAA team. They are now, but back then, the big guys were Caesars, CompuWare, Honey Baked, Bell Tire. Those were the top teams, most competitive. So it was nice to go to a team that where I was going to get peppered, and that's kind of what I did, and it worked out good for me.
Yeah, you're facing all those quality shots and you're like you said, like with the pressure, you learn to handle that pressure when you go up to the OHL and then go on to play World Juniors and then go to the professional ranks as well. Like you learn so much from those experiences, just how to handle that pressure that when you get to like the bigger stages, you're able to handle it and not let it tank your performance.
Yep, yep, exactly. You got it right.
Yeah, but like what really led you to the position of goaltending? Like I know it's usually the pads or the mask, but like what really led you to the position of being a goalie?
Yeah, I mean, I don't try to remember. Like I know watching on TV, I always liked the goalies. I always like mimic them, and obviously it's the gear and all that I feel like attracts most goalies to want to
Yeah.
do it. But even when I was younger, like when you'd switch out goalie and play forward and everyone would take a turn, I still enjoyed playing forward just as much as I enjoyed playing goalie. And I think it got to a point where, my whole team was telling me to stay in the net. So I think that kind of helped the decision making. And then once I got to the point of having to choose because we couldn't afford two sets of gear, that
Yeah.
I was like, I'll go with goalie. I mean, it makes more sense. I'm a little better at it, and I do like it. Love watching the goalies on TV, and that's where it started.
Yeah, gave your team the best chance to win, so they just wanted to put you in that every chance they got.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, but then after your youth career, you went on to the OHL. So like, what was the process like to go to the OHL and with the Sioux Greyhounds to start your 13-14 season?
yeah. Remember that I ended up signing like early. I signed during my U18 year, and I wasn't really getting a lot of traction with colleges or the USHL, and I I needed a helmet really bad. I needed a helmet. I needed sticks really bad, and I remember, you know, the Sioux kind of wanting to sign me, and then you got other people telling you, wait, you can wait and see if there's like an offer or something with college or going North American League, and then going college and stuff like that. But I was kind of just needed the gear really bad. My mask had been almost pretty much broken. I had no sticks. Parents could, barely afford to let me bill it and pay for that while I was away. So I was like, well, if they want me to sign, I'll sign. But if I'm going to sign, I need a helmet and
Yeah.
and a rack of sticks, and that got shipped to me the next day. So yeah, I did that, and then went off to went off to the Sioux, and it was cool being able to back up Matt Murray my first year. I was around a lot of really good hockey players that season and all the other seasons, but it was pretty cool to back him up and learn a lot from him. And that's where I met, my next goalie coach, John Elkin, who, he helped me tremendously. I still see him every summer, and that's where we kind of made our relationship and um, started elevating my game to a different level. And throughout those years, we were a good team. We had great coaching. We had great everything. The OHL was tough, though. It's a very offensive, very scoring league, especially at that time. Um, but overall, I think like I loved playing in the Sioux. The Sioux had great fans, great rink. I actually think about it every once in a while. I'm like actually like missing it, like kind of like look back and you're like, man, I had a lot of fun like playing juniors. And um, when you got a whole stands like chanting your name and stuff like that during playoffs, it's like stuff like that you never really forget about. And it was just such a cool experience being able to play there, and being a Detroit Red Wings fan, wearing those red and white colors. Those was it's kind of like a cool thing for me as well. But yeah, overall it was amazing experience. I'd say my last year there, I probably had my best success, and we weren't really as good of a team, weren't expected to do much. And I was potentially was going to get traded that year, and ended up not getting traded, and we ended up knocking out the we ended up knocking out Sarnia that year in playoffs. I think in the first round it was like the two versus the eights, or two versus the seventh seed, and that was kind of like a big upset because they had a lot of good players on their team that year. But I remember that being again 40 shots, 45 shots a night, and um, had a lot of fun for sure. I wouldn't change anything.
Yeah, so like what do you learn throughout those experiences you're facing those high pressure situations? You go from playing in regular season, then you go into playoffs and upset a team. Like your first year in the OHL, you played 19 games, and then you made that big jump forward, play 50 games, and then 43 the following year. So what is that learning process like throughout those 3 years in Sioux?
It's those are big years for sure. Because you're young as well. I mean, I came in at a lot of guys come in at 16. I came in at 17, and just trying to you're kind of just you're learning everything. Like you learn a lot when you're younger, and then in that moment, it's like you're playing junior hockey. You're getting paid to play. The next step is the NHL, and there's a lot to learn throughout that process. And um, trying to juggle everything, it can be a lot sometimes. Sometimes it comes more naturally and easier for other people, and other people we have to work at it more, and learn how to control your emotions, learn how to um, just yeah not get frustrated, and be able to compete and just find that second level, especially going into playoffs, stuff like that. And just not thinking you have to like change anything, or think that I gotta do more for this team now because it's the playoffs or whatever. It's all about just playing to your game, playing to your strengths, um, focusing on the things that give you success, and just having that compete, having that like dog in you. I talk about it with other goalie coaches all the time. Like that's something I hear a lot. Is like, yeah, there's a guy that's he's skilled, he moves really well, all these different things. And there's sometimes like I'll hear a coach say like he doesn't have that fu mentality, like that guy that just is a competitor, and he's gonna do um, whatever he can to keep the puck out of the net. And so that's something that's you can't really teach. And um, I think it's a big attribute to have as a goalie for sure.
Yeah, that's huge to learn from, especially when you have that mentality. Like it makes like everyone notices when you have that mentality. And like I'm sure you've learned a lot throughout the course of your career about that mentality. So like what do you think really changed like once you incorporate like that mindset, like the FU mentality just like how do you think it helped your game and helped you get more recognized as well?
Yeah, it helped a lot. I mean, I'd say like I mean I'm still learning a lot about this game and playing my strengths and stuff like that. And I feel like it kind of came to this year really. This past season, past 2 years, and mostly this year was running into Max and Max Valancourt, the goalie coach here in Syracuse, and um, the amount of work that he's put in for me and has helped me with. But that was one of the big things is just like, and he knows I have that in me, but sometimes as a goalie coach, you gotta dig it out of them, and some days we have bad days, stuff like that, and having a goalie coach like him that's always there for you and pushing you and earning that trust with you to open up, talk about things, and just be there all around and push you like every single day is huge. So yeah, that's helped me a lot for sure.
Yeah, that's awesome to have a guy like that you can trust and you put everything into the trust with him and then obviously that builds your relationship with him with the in Syracuse and then even their goalie coach back home like that's awesome to hear and everything. But like going back to like your junior days a little bit here, like what have been some of your favorite memories from juniors that you still like think about to this day?
Yeah, I'd say the biggest one was honestly that Sarnia win in my last year. That was probably that was I'm pretty sure that was my last year. Yeah, that was the biggest one. They had the signs that were behind me in Sarnia were like hilarious. They had like one of those little dolls that you poke and stuff with my face on it. So it's kind of funny to go in and that was a team that actually was interested in trading for me. So the fact that then get traded, stayed with the Sioux, and then played against them, and they had a complete stacked lineup, like for sure better than us, and to beat them, and we went to game 7, like double overtime, something like that, and yeah, we beat them, and it was just like I don't know, just being an underdog like that is it's a good feeling. So never really had a chance at, and well, we had plenty of chances at winning in the Sioux, but we just every year we lost to Connor McDavid in Erie, and that was always a rough bus ride back home. But yeah, as in terms of just other memories, there was that memory, and then the good old memory of me scoring on myself. I don't know if you ever saw that video, but there's a good video of me playing the puck and putting it in, posting it on my own net. So it's always a funny one I look back on for sure.
If you can look back and laugh it off, it's a funny memory for sure.
Yeah.
Every goalie has had that opportunity, that weird bounce that happens, and you put the puck in your own net.
Yeah. Yeah. Mine might be worse than most, but that's all right.
But hey, at least it doesn't happen now. Hopefully not. Hopefully not.
Knock on wood.
Yeah, knock on wood.
Yeah.
But like you played a couple of seasons of World Juniors as well. You played two seasons of World Juniors in U20. So like what was that experience like getting to represent your country, the US, and just go and play at World Juniors?
Yeah. That was amazing. I mean, I'm a huge American, super love the USA, and um, to be able to represent the country was amazing for me. Loved every second of it. Obviously, didn't really like play a lot of the games and was always the backup on each team, but which for me is it's tough when you're younger and wanting to play, wanting to be that guy. It's tough, like being on the bench and watching. But I look back and definitely say I'm fortunate, very thankful for that. And I mean, yeah, I hope that's definitely a goal and dream of mine is to represent USA again. And you know, play in the NHL would be amazing. And then if there was that second part of it would be representing USA at some sort of tournament would be like really cool. And being the guy in that, I think that's one of the coolest things ever.
Yeah, you're 2-0 and as with the US jerseys on your press. That must
Yeah,
mean I mean it must mean something at least.
yeah, not too many tough shots, so that's okay. It was good, but not too many tough shots.
Yeah, but like, what was it like playing at like that international level when you're like, what's the difference between when you go from like obviously regular season in North America and then you go on to play in World Juniors and it's the Olympic size sheet?
Kind of keep it the same. I mean, I know the one year we were in Montreal, so we were playing on just a normal NHL rink, but that was pretty amazing to be at the Bell Center and
Yeah,
um, be able to play in that and watch it. I watched most of the games, and even being there when we faced Canada, like that was absolutely insane to USA versus Canada in Canada. It's not always a good look for us, but no, it was just amazing just being, and then I was in Finland as well. So just the different culture and being in that area was always, it was very special and meeting the guys and being around that group and representing your country like every day. It's really special.
yeah. So such cool experiences to experience like the different cultures as well, like you said in Finland, and it's a whole another world over there, I'm sure, and it's just
Yeah.
cool to get that experience and that like point of view of between the US and Finland.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I want to go to your NHL draft story now. So 2014, second round, you were drafted by the New York Rangers. So like where were you on draft day? Like were you actually at the draft or like how like what's the story with like the NHL draft?
Yeah. I was home for it. My agent actually told me I probably wasn't gonna get drafted that high, so we decided to stay home. I wish I would have gone, but something that's not we don't think about it anymore. But yeah, I was just home and surrounded by family, which is also special. Friends and family, and the day that or the moment when it happened, it was pretty crazy. I cried my eyes out, and it was quite a up until that point. It was probably the most special moment of my life. It was pretty big deal. I was very happy on that day for sure.
Yeah, that's awesome. Just hear your name get picked, and I'm sure like you just think about everything that you've been through, all the from youth hockey to wanting to get where you are and like play professionally, and then get drafted to the NHL. Like must be something special as well.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Very.
Yeah, but you got a taste of being in the NHL in the 2016-2017 season with the Rangers. But you didn't get your first appearance until 17-18 with the Rangers off relief. So like what was that first experience like in the NHL before like you finally like this past year got your first NHL start?
Yeah. Yeah, it was pretty cool getting into the game in New York. Um, yeah, I'm trying to remember that game. Yeah, it was special. I mean, hearing the coach kind of gave me a heads up, the assistant before at the start of the period, just to let me know that he might put me in, like in case the game keeps going the way it's going. And so the jitters were hitting me there, and I was able to get rid of them before I got put in. So I wasn't too nervous going in, but it was a pretty cool moment getting my first NHL action. Having people at home who were actually watching that game at Buffalo Wild Wings, and they're like, oh my, freaking out seeing me go in. So that was pretty cool. That was a really cool moment for me. Yeah, definitely will never forget it.
Yeah, that's awesome to get that experience and like it just drives your passion even more to get to the NHL and you had quite the journey from that first stint until like this past year. It's like what like take us through the past what was it 10 years throughout that season, or 10 years in leading up to this past season, just your journey that you've been on through playing the coast, playing the American League, going to Germany and Del 2, and then finally getting your shot to start an NHL game.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it was a crazy journey. Trying to think of where to start. Went through, draft for Rangers, 3 years there on my entry level, and um, all 3 years were tough. On a struggling team most of the time, and was pretty much put down in the coast every single season. So that was always a tough one, especially when you're young and probably a little immature and just wanting to play at that American League level. It was always frustrating being stuck in the coast and feeling like they kind of gave up on you pretty early, and trying to deal with that, juggle your emotions, and still try to stop a puck, and then going through multiple injuries. I think I had two meniscus tears just throughout those 3 years. I had, and then after that last season I played, they sent me down the coast again, and I was down in Maine and had a really fun year down there. I had a great Coach Riley Armstrong, and he had my back big time and was always pushing for me to get called up, and it just never happened. And that year I played my best year in the coast. I mean, had a pretty good stat, I think 2-2 and then 926, something like that. And I did really well, and ended up getting called up at the end of the year and started playing some games and did decent in the American League. And then once the 3 years were up, that was it. Went down to then after that year, ended up going to Toronto camp. Um, they had too many goalies there. Did well, playing a preseason game. They had a lot of goalies though, and so I ended up signing in Norfolk. Played there. Um, yeah, I had a call up. I had two different call ups. One call up, I was going to play a game in Providence. Got E. coli, like the worst sickness I ever had in my life. Got sent down like 2 days later.
Oh,
Didn't get to play in that, and then yeah, I went up to Tucson. Was there for about a month and a half, and played in one game. Got pulled, and that was a tough one. I wasn't doing good mentally, and then I came back to Norfolk and was pretty much not doing good at all, like in my brain, and so I ended up kind of calling it there. Um, went home, and yeah, so finished that summer there, and then the COVID hit. Season started later. Went to signed in Wheeling. Went to Wheeling. Tore my another meniscus. 3 days in the camp. So that was my third meniscus tear. Decided I was going to play on it because I'd done it before. Started playing on it. Took a really bad hit. Really bad high ankle sprain. I wish my ankle would have just snapped. It would have been better. So that ended my season. And then following year, I was signed with the Everblades. I was going to go there, hurt my wrist about 2 weeks before camp. And I thought I just sprained it. It wasn't even anything bad at all until I took a shot and my wrist bent back, and I had like just the worst pain ever. They saw like the smallest bone in my wrist was broken and needed a pin and all this stuff. And I didn't even think it was I didn't even think I was really injured at all. And then, so that ended my other year. So pretty much 2 years, the year in Wheeling, I only played 4 games. So it was pretty much 2 years without playing. And then the um, following year played, and one second. Following year went to didn't really have. I'm trying to remember that one. I think I went to signed in. I was in Orlando, and then so I signed a deal there. Went to Orlando, Um, we had one guy on a Syracuse contract. We had another coast player, and I mean, I thought throughout the entire camp, everything, I thought I did the most I could do. Thought I for sure made the team. Thought me and the guy that was on the Syracuse contract were neck and neck as to, who would be the main guy there. And then, I thought I for sure outperformed the other. Um, and then when it came down to it, I was getting put on the IR just to, see if something happens. So they didn't have to get rid of me for 2 weeks, and then end up getting released. So that was kind of a shocker and probably the biggest hit to my ego and everything else. Just getting cut from an East Coast team after being drafted to the NHL. It's like,
Yeah.
oh shit, what is going on? So that was pretty frustrating for me. Um, at least the coach was able to take me out for a coffee and have a good conversation with me before, instead of just pull you in the office, say you're out of here. That's like,
Yeah.
what most people get treatment wise. But
Yep.
so I remember leaving. I remember I got a tryout option in the Dell in Bremerhaven. So I flew over to Germany, and then I remember even getting a text from my old coach after they lost the game like 9-7 or 9-8, and I remember him texting me being like, wish we could have given you a better look. So it was kind of I always remember that as like a kind of a nice feeling. You still got cut, but whatever. But I was over in Germany trying out for a Dell team, which, if I make this team, and, it's that put my career back on track for sure. I mean, it's obviously a very good league over there. So I couldn't play any games. I could only practice, and I was doing really well. They checked me out. They got MRIs on all the things I got injured before in the past, and everything checked out. Was doing well. Um, and then no decisions were made yet, and I had gotten an offer from a UK team. They were ready to give me a contract, come over, play. They needed a goalie, and I was like asking the Dell team, what's the plan here? Like, are you guys going to keep me? Like, are you going to cut me? Like, I have an offer to go play somewhere, and I need to play this
Yeah.
season. And they kind of told me like, no, we wouldn't bring you all this way and do all this to cut you. We're just trying to figure out a few more things. I'm like, okay. So I stayed with them and signed a 2-week practice contract. And um, after like 3 days, they pulled me in and cut me. They released me. And it was kind of like, I had already gone through a lot of mental things throughout my career. Just a lot of nothing going good for me. Felt like there's no matter what I did, no matter how hard I worked, it was like I was just getting pushed into the dirt and getting them, I don't know, just nothing going good. And I think after that moment, I couldn't even help it. Was pretty emotional, and I just couldn't really like control it because it was just like, man, I can't catch a break here.
Yeah.
Um, Tried calling that UK team back, and they had hired a goalie coach, and they were like, we'll let you know. So I flew all the way home, back to, I was actually living in Clearwater, right next to Tampa, for those 2 years I was injured. So I was down there. Um, so flew back, um, yeah, flew back to there, and then, um, the one goalie in Orlando who was with Syracuse, he was actually called up at the time. So they signed me, brought me back to Orlando, started practicing. Thought I was going to be there they told me like I could probably be there for at least like 2 weeks. He came back like 2 days later. So I practiced for 2 days and
Of
then got
course.
cut again. Yeah. And then I got an offer in the meantime to go to the Dell 2. And that was like a full contract because they had a goalie that got injured. So I was able to go there. In between that time, I was also working like in Tampa, Clearwater area, pretty much that whole time. So like the after Wheeling, after that surgery, went back slowly, was like doing Uber Eats and um I just forget what this one, the other app's called, where you pick up groceries for people. I like doing that more, but I was doing that.
Like DoorDash kind of.
Um, it's kind of, yeah, but it's just for groceries.
Gotcha.
It was like I forgot what it's called. Did that, and then the year that I hurt my wrist, that was when I started working for this pretty wealthy family. They had like 100 or it's some crazy, they had 100 acres or something like that in Tampa, something
Wow.
ridiculous. But I was working there. They had like a full group of people working on the property. I was in the greenhouse. I was working on this barn, this horse barn. I was doing just odds and ends stuff all around the property, and doing it with one hand because my other arm was in a cast.
Yeah.
So I was doing that, and then so even when I came back from Germany, I like went back to work for a few days for 2 weeks straight, and then got the call, went to Germany in the Dell 2, um, played like 17 games there, outdoor rink. Uh, couldn't believe what I was getting myself into. And I remember sitting there like talking to my dad about it and being like because it wasn't a great spot. It wasn't like a great rink and locker room and all that. It was like pretty like I mean for me like the worst I've probably been in. So it was just my dad kind of said like, oh, it's gonna make for a good story. It's all part of the plan. So that was kind of the only thing that was keeping me sane was that is this is God's, this is the path God put me on. So I'm just gonna make the most of it. Life could always be worse, and what's there to complain about when you're fully healthy and you got two walking legs? So um, I just tried to play. I flew in, and this is after flying to Germany, came back 2 weeks, flew back to Germany, and I played 3 days later. I played back to back and won both games, um, which is first two games in about 2 years. So that
Yeah.
was that was huge. And so yeah, I finished the year there, 17 games, came back, trained that summer, and then I just reached out to that same coach that cut me before because I had no opportunity in the coast. And to be honest, it's kind of a tough decision, but it was between you either like take that route, um, either go over back overseas again, and a lot of the reason why the guys do that is like they can't really crack it here and got to make money somehow, and in the coast you don't make any money. So um it was like, do I want to go back over there? Like, do I have another UK option, Austria, another Del 2 option? And it was just kind of like, even those teams were still like, you've only played 17 games, like no one was really high on me, so which makes sense. And so I was like, I fully was like, I want to play in the NHL, and I think my only chance is being here. Like, I got to be in the coast because that's the only way I'll get a call up and have that opportunity. Once you're overseas, there's no call up.
Yeah.
So I called up my old coach and I was like, hey, let me try out. Like, let me earn my way on this team. And he's like, I already got an NHL contracted guy, an AHL contracted guy, and he signed a coast goalie. He's like, you want to come and beat out the coast goalie? You can earn a contract. I was like, all right, that's fine. So drove down, drove everything down. So it was kind of like, I don't know, it just got to a point where you just kind of You just gotta say fuck it and just like have that mindset of like I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna make the team. I know I'm gonna do it. It wasn't even a thought. So I packed up my truck, my girlfriend at the time, and we drove down and tried out, made the team. Um, I played, practiced really well, played really well, and I think I started opening night, or at least the next game, um, and pretty much took over the net there for a bit, and then was flip flopping between one of the guys, and um, that's how that year turned into getting called up to Syracuse. Finally had some luck happen, the guy that they would have normally have called up was injured, so they didn't have a choice but to call me up, and that was my shot. Played 6 games, did really well, got a shutout in one of them, and got an AHL contract. So yeah, that was a long road to get to that point, and um, I just I don't know, it's quite the relief to finally get some positive out of my career, out of this long career, get some sort of positive notes going. So
Yeah, that's a crazy story, crazy journey. Like never would have thought going in on that journey that you're to go through that stuff. So obviously, like it's part of the plan, part of God's plan, everything. Like you just gotta keep riding it out, keep overcoming those obstacles. So like what have has been like some of the biggest things you've learned throughout your career so far with going through those obstacles and just really like trusting the process because that's what you had to do. Like things like you just got brought down time after time, but you kept coming back up, and then everything finally started to go right, and it led you to get an NHL start.
yeah, I mean, I think it just you kind of have to go through that stuff to learn about yourself and learn about like what it really takes. And for me, it was um, just learning to just never stop fighting, to never just pack it in. And there was times where it was like it was so close to being done, and even when you have your own dad saying to you like, you sure you want to keep doing this? Like you might want to start thinking about doing something else. And he's only saying that to protect his kid and to you know be a dad.
Yeah.
But um, for me, it hurts. It sucks, like hearing that. Not to say him, he has to say stuff like that. But uh, to hear that and then to keep trying to push, and like when you've had nothing but negative happen to you, um, you just have to go through it, man. I don't know. It was a very difficult thing, but I think that's the one thing I learned is like, you get a different outlook on life, and that life's like we're so lucky, we're so fortunate for everything we have, and if you're going through something rough, it's like someone's always got it worse, man. Like someone always has it worse, and what you're going through is just not that bad. Um, and that's a good. I think that's what's helped me a lot is having that outlook on life, and um, even when having bad games, stuff like that, it's like in the moment, yeah, you're a competitor, and you get really frustrated, but it's a quick reset, and it's a new day and another day to be thankful for, thankful that you're alive and healthy, and that you get to play a sport for a living. So I think that's the most that I've like learned throughout that process, and what I take with me every day.
Yeah, definitely tough times, but they all come with experiences and learning curves, and just to be thankful and blessed where you're at right now and the journey that it took you on, because I'm sure you wouldn't have experienced any places or anything or gone through these life lessons without playing the game you love and continue to play you
No,
love.
no, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, but you're in the AHL, you're with Syracuse, and you get that call to sign an NHL contract. Like obviously you're emotional and everything like that. Like what's the feeling like when that call happened? And because I saw the video, the boys poured water on you when that happened as well. It's like what was just that whole experience of just hearing that you're going to sign an NHL contract?
Yeah, yeah, it was pretty great. I'm trying to remember. There's like so many things happened last year, so many different things that um but no, I remember obviously it was amazing. It's kind of like a um I thought I'd get emotional when that happened, but it didn't really hit me yet till like later on. But I was like, there's that part of you that's like, I knew I know I can do this. I know I could get to that point. So when it
Yeah.
was like, you get rewarded for it, it's like, yeah, yeah, damn, damn straight. Like I know I put the work in. I know I can play here. I know I can do that. Um, so that was kind of the feeling. It's tough when it's during the season too, because like you don't really want to, not here to celebrate and stuff. There's still more work to do and to um, more tasks to tackle throughout the year. So obviously, it was a good relief and just thankful and very happy to have a organization and coaching staff that believe in you and are excited for you and um, want you to succeed and are giving you so many avenues to do that. So
Yeah, that's awesome. So you after that all happens, you get to Tampa and you get the call that you're starting. Like you head on the ice for warm-ups, play that game, like everything leading up to that, like what's that whole adrenaline, and I'm sure all the adrenaline's going, like you're ready, like you were like you said, like you're meant for this, like you're ready for your opportunity to start and you get that start. Like what's going through your mind and like just take us through that whole day.
yeah, I mean, I was going to be playing that night in Lehigh, and I got the calls at lunch actually. We were pre-game and my coach pulled me aside and told me like you're not playing tonight. I was like, okay. Like I already knew I was going to be playing and then he told
Yeah.
me no and then he's like, well, because you're going to Tampa's calling you up. I was like, okay, all right, sounds good. So that was pretty cool. And then so they called so he told me like you got to go to Utah and pack your bags. Coach will be Coop will be calling you soon. And he called me while I was packing up and uh right away was like ready to play tomorrow. I was like, yeah, yeah, sure.
Let's
So
do it.
it was a nice surprise and I was just kind of blown away that like this is all finally happening. I couldn't really believe it. So yeah, I flew from Philly to Utah, didn't get into my bed till 2 a.m. Um, our flight got delayed and all that, and I was texting my buddy. I ended up calling the suit store that we get a NHL guys get a discount at, and they had one there, thank God. And because I didn't even have a suit with me. We traveled for some reason that game we played in Lehigh. We were just doing just our track suits, so I didn't have a suit with me, and then so I'm like, there's no way I'm walking into my first NHL game without a suit on.
Yeah.
So I had to call and buy a suit over the phone, and it was just trying to remember when the game was at, but yeah, I had a lot of nerves that game. Obviously, the game didn't go the way I'd like to. Wasn't super happy about it, but it turned out, it was just overall just incredibly happy and super blessed to be able to play that game. Um, just a lot of hard days, a lot of pretty long, hard career to finally get to that point of playing the NHL game. And I always said like if I never play another game again, I can at least say I went through all of that to play in a game, and no one can take that away from me. And even though it didn't go great, I still got to play. So I'm just happy, fortunate, thankful, and there's still more work to get done, and not satisfied with my career yet. So there's still more things to do.
Yeah. Exactly. And like it's been a journey, but you've touched the NHL level. No one can ever take that away from you. You played an NHL game, you started an NHL game, and you just gotta like like now you can even work even more, even harder for that opportunity because you have that taste now and you want to be there full time. So you just gotta just keep going, keep trusting the process and keep going for that goal of playing in the NHL full time.
Yes, sir. That's the plan.
Yeah, but that's an awesome story. But like what's like your mindset now with things like since you've been through all this like when you're playing like what's your mindset throughout the game and just being thankful and blessed for even being where you are.
Yeah, I mean, mindset's the same as last year. It's just coming every day and outwork, outwork everyone that's around me. I think that's like the biggest thing. I think just practices and everything. I win my games when, only way I play good games if I play good, have good practices. So I take practices very seriously and um, just push really hard and take care of that. Take everything off the ice. Know that every single day. I didn't you know cut any corners. That's what's been giving me success. So it's kind of the mindset right now, and to go into every game and dominate. And I like you said, I got to taste that NHL, and now there's another step past that, and that's to play games and multiple games. So you know, I've been good up to this point. And there's still another level that I'm going to get to this year. That's the plan.
Yeah, that's awesome. And you just got to keep going. It's like, well, how excited are you to start the season? And you're in Tampa right now, like we talked about at the beginning of the episode. So you're already going to training camp there. You're signed in Syracuse. So like, what are you excited for most about this season?
Just another year to get to play the game, man. A lot of guys aren't playing anymore and retired, and I'm lucky enough to still be going and being healthy. So I'm just gonna go in and take it day by day and work as hard as I can and put God first, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, that's awesome to hear, and I'm sure it's gonna be a big year for you. So good luck with this season, and yeah, you just got to keep going with it, and keep trusting God, keeping trusting the process, and go from there.
Yep, yep, you got it, man.
Yeah, but I have a few more questions before we wrap this episode up. So, like, do you have any tips for players looking to get to the next level? Like, no matter what they go through, like the obstacles, the struggles, like to get to that next level, whether it be juniors, college to pro, like whatever that level may be, like any good advice would for the younger generation.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say the biggest thing is I think something I struggled with during my career is showing emotion and getting frustrated because you just want the. I've always been a competitor and get frustrated even letting pucks in practice. So I think the biggest thing is uh, not being like that, not showing emotion. You can be a competitor, you can get frustrated sometimes, but like have it channeled through a into a positive in a positive way. Being a good teammate, winning your teammates over, that's going to go a long way and how they play for you and what they'll do for you back there. That's a big thing. And I just think working hard. I think a lot of goalies and in general just don't know how hard it, how hard to work and how hard it is to get to this level. And um, it's taken practices very seriously and not just, and not just letting pucks go in or like not following a rebound. It's playing, it's practicing like you're going to play. And if you do that, that'll be a huge bonus to up from other goalies. Like you'll be doing better than other guys if you take that approach.
Yeah, that's awesome piece of advice, and just trust the process, trust and really take everything seriously. Because if you take everything seriously and you treat it like you're playing, like you said, like once you get in that game, you're already going to be it's going to be muscle memory at that point, so you're already going to be ready for the game.
Exactly. Yep. Yep.
Yeah,
I earn my starts in practice. It doesn't, they're not just given to me. So if I'm not competing in practice and doing the right things, I probably won't play. So
yeah,
that should be like most goalies' mindsets, I think.
yeah. That's huge. But the next question is, was it intimidating playing in the NHL, and could you feel the difference in the caliber of players from the A?
Yeah, yeah, I would say it was definitely intimidating. You know, like I said before, I had nerves, a lot of nerves, and you know, the speed of it and everything was was pretty fast, and you know, they come at you quick, and I think I think the more games I get to play in, I think I'll be able to settle in more
Yeah,
and control the game and control the speed of everything, and have a lot more success next time.
yeah. Just gotta keep going through it and keep everything simple, like you said, and just control the game. Because once you control the crease, like
Yeah,
the game becomes so much easier.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and then the last question is, what kept you going even through the hard days throughout your entire career when like you faced obstacles? Like what kept you going every day?
um, Honestly, it was just like I would daydream about playing the NHL. Like I would just like think about it at least once a day. Um, Almost every time I would driving my car to the rink or something like that. Like it was just a constant thought in my brain of what it'd be like playing in my first game, and to everyone that said like, you know, I was a bust, or I, you know, was never going to be good enough, or whatever people said, you know, it was like there was something there that was like, I just want to prove everyone wrong, and just prove it to myself that like I can play at that level. So that was just kind of the thought process for me. And even though I went through insanely hard times, and lot of bad shit went on in my life, that was like the one thing I'm like, this is going to make for a good story, and God's doing this to me for a reason. Um, and I'm going to figure it out and get to the top eventually. So that was kind of always the positive mindset.
Yeah. That's a great mindset to have, and it was a long time coming for you to play in that first NHL game, and just everything you've gone through, like it makes for an incredible story, and I'm super glad that you're able to come on and share that story. So I want to thank you for coming on the episode on the podcast and sharing your story, and I just want to say best of luck this year, and go get that spot in Tampa.
I appreciate it, man. Thanks for having me. This was great. Good talking
Yeah.
with you.